Okay, let's get started. Thank you very much, everybody, for being here today on our Microsoft Teams Success with BitTitan webinar. We have a lot of exciting things to share with you and are so glad that you're joining us. My name is Nicholas Brayman. I'm the Marketing Manager for Voleer in APAC, and I'm going to just share with you a few housekeeping items and go over the agenda with you. So we're going to start off with a welcome and kickoff from Brad Rosario, our APAC Director of Business, and then we'll be introducing the team's opportunity and growth with you and what that means for partners. Next, we will go and introduce you to our BitTitan 3 Steps to Team Success formula and go into the details of migration, adoption, and management. After that, we will share some promotions with you as well as the campaign in a box that you can use to market to your customers. We will have a Q&A session, so if you'll notice you're muted and you won't be able to ask questions by a microphone, but if you look on the GoToWebinar interface, you can type in your questions there. And don't worry, if we don't have a chance to get to your question live today, we will be sure to reach out to you once the webinar ends and make sure any questions get answered. And finally, we'll wrap up with a fun interactive quiz, so you'll want to make sure that you stay all the way to the end and pay attention to the presentations today, because the winner will get a $50 gift card prize. So without further ado, let's get started. And Brad, I'll hand it over to you.
Yeah, thanks, Nicholas. Welcome, everyone, and thanks for joining. So let me just turn my camera on. Yeah, thanks for taking the time to join our first webinar for MigrationWiz and Voleer. So we're really happy to have everyone on board and looking forward to giving you more updates on that. So just a quick introduction of myself. I'm Brad Rosario. I'm the Director of Business Development based down here in Melbourne. I'm in Melbourne, Australia. And things are going pretty good here now since we've been released from our COVID-19 restrictions. So that's a good news. Also, after 30% plus growth within the APAC region, we're pleased to share with you all some further details on our solutions on today's webinar. So we look forward to sharing that with you quite soon. We see the future is very bright for cloud in APAC, particularly in India and Australia and New Zealand. As we all know, cloud can help our businesses and our clients' businesses with efficiencies, and we're there to assist you with your clients and, more importantly, with their journey through the cloud and the migration process. So as you can see, there's a few people on screen there. I won't go through all of them, but that's the APAC team, of course, for our region. I will hand it over to Humin to share her insights on Voleer, and I'll basically catch up with you a bit later on in the Q&A session if there is some questions there. But without further ado, I'll hand it over to Humin. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Hi everyone. Okay, thank you for the introduction, Brad. I'm actually the newest addition to the BitTitan team, and I'm excited to be presenting to you today. So you're looking at one of the highest growth Microsoft solutions in 2020, which is the Microsoft Teams. And in the next two slides, I will show you the Teams opportunities and what's in it for us. So the largest growth started between around March and April 2020 when it added 31 million users. In March, it actually saw 2.1 billion monthly rise in the amount of meetings per day. And in April, it hosted 200 million meeting participants in a day worldwide. And there were also 34 million healthcare meetings in that month itself. So all in all, Microsoft Teams has grown about 894% since COVID-19 lockdown has begun. Next slide, please. Yeah, so according to a study, right, the total addressable market is $9.5 billion for change management solutions related to Microsoft technologies, which are categorized in these three buckets that you see below: advisory and adoption, business solutions, and managed services. So this whole market is growing at about 7% annually on an average, and these are the areas where partners can drive growth and capitalize on them to build recurring revenue. So now that you have seen where are the potential areas for growth, which is the gold mine, right? You must be wondering how BitTitan can help. So I will pass this on to Stella, the star of the MigrationWiz team in BitTitan, to walk you through on the 3 steps approach to team's success. Stella, over to you.
Thank you, Hui Min. And hi, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon to you, and thanks for joining our webinar. So I'll be talking about like BitTitan, how can we make you succeed, right, on your managed services offerings to your clients by leveraging on BitTitan. And we are really talking about the entire BitTitan suite. So we have 2 products. We have MigrationWiz and we have Voleer. So the first step is definitely to use MigrationWiz to get your migration done, be it tenant to tenant migration, your migrating channel, conversations, files, history, and coming up with, we have a lot more exciting things that Darren will be sharing later. Then we get into adoption. So how can Voleer kind of help you by leveraging on Voleer Teams Adoption Dashboard? And that will be what Angela will be talking about in a little bit. We are talking about your Teams adoption, how much are you using, how much are you not using? And then we get into the last stage, which is the management. And for example, you have finished, migration, you have did all your management, but what would be the next step? Because you might be having a client say, hey, could I move from this Teams channel to another Teams channel? But it's not a migration. So Voleer actually has that solution for you. And more in-depth will be coming from Angela's side when she's sharing about Voleer. But before that, let me start with MigrationWiz. So you will definitely do a migration with us, but some of you might not be familiar with MigrationWiz, so let me give you a very short introduction. MigrationWiz is a 100% SaaS platform. We have been in business for 11 going 12 years on the migration solution, and that is what we do day in, day out. Development team in Singapore, in US, we are very focused on making sure that you can migrate very easily. I'm talking about project setup of 15 to 30 minutes at max if you're doing a migration. And that would mean that if you're setting a Teams migration, a OneDrive migration, mailbox migration, personal archive migration, you do not have a different learning curve. It is exactly the same UI, the same process, and we do not offer professional services because we want you as the partner to put on your professional services and offer that to the client. And going on next, so how can we migrate for you within a very short period of time? So 2 things. The first thing, concurrent migrations, which Darren will talk a little bit more specific to Teams, but you can leverage on concurrency migration to get your migration speeding up a little bit faster. The second one, you can leverage on local Azure data centers. If you're right now based in, for example, India, or based in Australia and New Zealand, you can actually choose the specific data center that is nearest to your destination. That will speed up your migration. Then we get into the security and compliance, which I will not bore you with the details, but if you would like to know about BitTitan's entire solution when it comes to how do we deal with the data backend, just let us know and we'll get you through the process. We'll share some white papers with you. And moving on next to talk about, what do we support? Because today we are only talking about Teams, but I would like you to look at the full suite of what MigrationWiz is about. So over here, I'm not going to deep dive because we have a lot more exciting things coming up. But in short, this is an overlay of what BitTitan is offering in terms of mail migration, document migration, personal archives migration, collaboration, and lastly, if on hybrid exchange management. Any questions, feel free to leave in the comments. We will answer them shortly, but I'm going to pass this on next to Darren and talk about Teams migration. Over to you, Darren.
Thanks a lot, Stella. Yep, so I'll just run through a little bit of our Teams migration, and in specific, the Teams migration from BitTitan is a tenant-to-tenant migration scenario. So as you may or may not aware that as we have launched our Teams migration since last July, and of course up to date, we have helped 200 plus companies to migrate over 45,000 teams at this point of time. So what does the customer actually really benefited from us is that they're able to accelerate their Teams migration with an average speed of let's say 500 teams a day, with let's say around 0.5 TB to 1 TB per day. And I think most importantly is to help them move the critical data and components like teams, channels, documents, and membership over to the destination. Yeah, so we'll just touch a little bit on the Teams differentiator when it comes to migration with MigrationWiz. So like I mentioned, we're able to migrate Teams, channels, conversations groups and files. But this is not all. This is actually not an exhaustive list, which we're keen to share with you more when you speak to us. And I think most importantly is that something we're doing very unique is the rehydration of the Teams conversation. So with that, it allows you to, the Teams conversation, once it's migrated to the destination tenant, to be able to be viewed and also to be replied, which is a very interesting thing. And also from a UX standpoint, that's what a lot of customers actually enjoy. So in the like of the mapping, when you talk about merger and acquisition, it's very common that the source and tenant, they have conflicting usernames and also Teams name. So we're actually able to optimize the process to help to map out the usernames and also to allow the automation of the renaming of Teams at the destination once it's being migrated, right? So of course, in Teams migration, where it's very relevant in divestiture scenario, where you do not want to migrate the whole every teams from the source to the destination, we do allow you to have the ability to select the number of teams and which teams that you want to migrate from the source to destination. And of course, lastly, most important, speed is the key to all successful migration. So what we have actually done is that not only from a throughput perspective, it's being optimized because we use a capable API to help us drive the performance, but up to 30% of teams can be migrated concurrently using the MigrationWiz Teams migration tool. Next slide. Yep, thank you. So when we talk about teams, first off, what we need to do is the auto discovery of teams, which is to discover the teams within the source tenant, and then we import into MigrationWiz. So how we allow you to, and also incorporate the teams discovery from the source. So what it actually does is we discover and run an assessment from the source tenant, and we actually allow you to populate the teams on the source and import it to MigrationWiz. Likewise, you're able to download to a CSV file, select the teams that you want to migrate from source to destination, and even do certain renaming if required before uploading to the MigrationWiz itself. So as part of the benefit of having individualized items, whereas indicating the teams, we allow you to be easily selectable when you want to migrate certain teams to the destination when you run some migration. And also as part of monitoring, when you're doing the migration, you're able to view line by line in granular what is the throughput, and of course, what is the performance and the status of each migration itself. So lastly, we have a two-stage approach when it comes to Teams migration, and we really recommend you to follow that, and that allow you to be a bit more efficient in a migration. So we incorporated something called a pre-stage migration for Teams, which is similar pre-stage for Mailbox, but it's done differently in Teams. So what it essentially does is that first, for pre-stage migration, it helps to create the teams and also channel structure at the destination site first. So once you wait a couple of hours or a couple of days, when you are ready for the cutover, when you run a full migration, that's where they migrate the data, including the conversations, documents, and permission in the final pass. So with this pre-stage migration, it really helped to manage the project a little bit more effectively from a from a project management standpoint, ensuring that you have the structure being created at the destination site before you actually run the full migration. And that's also to mitigate certain risks when it comes to the migration itself. So I think a very interesting point where a lot of partners and customers reach out to me and ask, so what is actually the opportunity out there in terms of Microsoft Teams migration? What does it really mean to them? I think first, most of all, it's important that we think and also follow that what are the compelling use case for Teams migration. Inevitably, merger acquisition, the divestiture is top of mind, because when a company were to move from A to B, being acquired or divesting out of a business unit to a new standalone entity, Teams migration is actually widely used together, of course, migrating the mailbox and other different workloads from a Microsoft standpoint. The other part of it is more of a tenant consolidation, and that is to do with the security, compliance, and also in order to enhance the user experience from a collaboration standpoint. And that is something that I would encourage a lot of partners to look at it as well. The other part of Teams migration, good if you're doing current migration for other workloads like mailbox, documents, archive, etc. You can actually enhance and also expand your portfolio to create a different value proposition when migrating teams and really providing the end-to-end services from a migration aspect. And of course, the last one is to maximize the opportunity. So what does it mean is that when you actually engage with client or your internal stakeholders, is that how do you provide the end-to-end consultancy, not only from a from a Microsoft standpoint, but also around collaboration effort within the workplace, adoption and optimization of the current environment, migration and beyond, which is what Voleer comes in to speak about more of what happened after the migration. So with that, thanks a lot. I will pass it on to Angela to share more about Voleer.
Hi everyone, thank you so much for taking time to join us. You can see that we are like a huge production house moving in and out of speakers. We have quite a fair bit of speakers today. So I think Darren has definitely get you excited on the migration part. So my role is to help you in curating different packages and services on what happens after migration. So the thing is, you remember what Stella had shared with you. So step 2 is on adoption. And this is what I want to share with you today. So what is adoption all about? Driving adoption. You hear this term driving adoption from a lot of cloud vendors. You hear it from Microsoft and any other cloud SaaS vendors. So the thing about adoption is that it only happens when a user is using that technology. Yeah, without a strong urge of digital adoption, it will actually result in losses for an organization. Simple things, today we go out to end customers and, have a conversation with them on maybe M365. The first question that will come out is that, how many users are there in the environment? Yeah, so they'll say 500, but moving forward, you actually sold them a license of 500. What is going to happen after that? And this is where we are going to help you today, okay? So today for adoption and even manage, we do have a product called Voleer. All of us, I guess all our customers here do know BitTitan as a migration company. But the thing is that I just want to emphasize on the part, we are not only a migration company, we are an automation company. You love MigrationWiz because of the automation. And that is where we have another new product right now, which is called Voleer. You may have heard of Voleer somehow or another, but today I'm going to share Voleer from a perspective whereby how are you going to provide services for teams? Okay, we are beyond just teams. So if you need any if you have any questions regards to any other technologies or any other vendors that you are looking for automation, please let us know. Yeah. Okay, so what is Voleer actually? So Voleer is actually an IT automation platform. Think about it, automation, meaning we automate IT tasks. Today, our discussion is all about teams, and I'll just focus on teams. Within Voleer, we actually provide out-of-the-box IT assessments, okay? Meaning to say assessment templates, assessments reports around teams. And we also provide automation around managing teams and even teams governance moving forward. Okay, it's easy to use. If you have used MigrationWiz before, Voleer is as simple as MigrationWiz. We do not require you to invest in another, another expert in PowerShell, another expert in Azure to just work on Voleer. Okay, so it's very simple. And our main aim today is to help you to increase your monthly recurring revenue. Okay, by providing Voleer services, which is white label under your company name. Yeah. Okay, so and the thing is, of course, do more on what you have currently, because we understand, within the APAC region, resources are very difficult to, talents are difficult to come by, and you may have an issue in hiring, engineers, managers, or even pre or post sales folks. Yeah, so we are going to help you on that. So firstly, what I want to do is to introduce our Voleer Teams Adoption Dashboard. Okay, today you have a conversation with Microsoft, for example. Oh, so sorry. Okay, so today you have a conversation with Microsoft. Microsoft is so eager to know your team's opportunity. So you show them the opportunity and say, great job, you have closed, X number of teams opportunity last one. So what is next? Yeah, Microsoft will ask you another question. So how is the adoption like? Yeah, and you may be thinking that, oh my God, how do I determine whether the adoption is there? How do I show Microsoft whether the users are using? How do I show to Microsoft what are the activities that the users are doing right now? So with the Voleer adoption, Teams adoption dashboard, you will be able to generate on what is happening, to see activities on what is happening within your end customer environment. Okay, with this dashboard, you are able to look at the usage across organization, the entire organization, down to department level and down to user level. We actually shows you activities like how many calls do they make, within a period of time, and it's up to you to decide on the period of time. Yeah, so it's actually dynamic. You can actually choose. And the other thing is also we can even look at chats and meetings that they have. Yeah, to see how productive they are. And this is actually a very good tool for you to go back to Microsoft and say that I've done it successfully. Yeah, the users are really using, because seeing is believing, and I'm showing you this. Yeah. And other than that, right, we also look at, the top and bottom 10 users by department, and also look at their daily or average Teams usage. Okay, so all these are available within a single dashboard. And if you really want to go down to user level, it's just a simple click drop down menu whereby you can choose a user by email address. So if I'm not a very technical person, I'm a salesperson. If I can use it, I'm sure you can easily use it. Yeah. So other than this, right, you can actually go back to, if this Teams adoption report also allows you to look at a customer environment, and then you can go back to actually provide them with a change management training. Yeah. If let's say they're not adopting well, and this is where the services are, if they're not adopting well, go back to them and let them know exactly at the organization level, what is their adoption percentage like. Yeah, if let's say it's at 57%, then you drill down to which department are not using, so that you can give very tactical advice to your end customer. Okay, so the next one that I'm going to share is, okay, so this is what you can look at. So I shared just now, the services dollar is actually on onboarding implementation. Definitely you're very familiar with that. And also what we have, from a marketing perspective that we can actually work with you directly is our Voleer developed collaterals and checklists for customer to utilize, so that they can look at their environment to see how deep they are into Teams usage. Okay. So the other thing is also review the success metrics with your customers. And if let's say today what you're seeing on the dashboard is not what you are looking at, you would actually require and you require other information, right, for your end customers. We are more than happy to work with you to customize the solution so that you have your own IP to present to your customer. So the next is on manage. Now showing the adoption report, and then after that show to create a change management training for them, providing the support on usage, etc. So what is next? Yeah. So this entire process typically take around 3 months. Yeah, plus training and showing that they use. It may close within 3 months. But what is going to happen to the next 9 months? Yeah, because this 9 months, anything can happen. Someone may come into the account and provide services for a customer, and without you knowing. And when it's time to renew, the customer stickiness is not there. So step 3 actually allows you to increase your customer stickiness throughout the entire 12 months of usage. Okay, so how are we going to do that? So we actually have different automation that can help you to ensure that you continue to manage your customer environment. Yeah, from a services perspective. So firstly, we do have something called the Microsoft Teams assessment that allows you to look at the Teams ethics within that environment. Meaning to say, it actually shows you the total number of teams that a customer have. We also look at guest access, whether are they internal, external access, and we also track down to the team owner summary by providing when was the last time by channel that the team owner has utilized the channel. Yeah, so we can actually look at 14 days, 30 days, 45 days, 60 days, up to you to choose. Okay, so if let's say you realize that there's actually 5 teams that is inactive, you can actually get to your customer and tell them that there's actually inactive team. Maybe we should do a cleanup. That is where your services dollar are. We should do a cleanup, remove the teams, or maybe you want to actually archive it. We also have the archive feature. Yeah, so the thing is, because I'm sure you guys know that if the Teams adoption is there, and a lot of people start to create different channels, it's so difficult when it comes to the interface to get the information that you want. So ongoing management to clean up, to look at inactivity, to look at the storage space, all these are available within the Teams assessment. Okay, so I touched base on Teams archive just now, and I do know that Microsoft has a archive function. The difference between a Voleer archive function and a Microsoft archive function is that we archive the channel out of the Microsoft 1 terabyte space. Yeah, so we do not need, we actually relieve the quota of the storage capacity, and we actually archive it out to Voleer. Okay, so this is one form of professional services that you can actually provide for your customers when you are doing the management. The other thing is Teams channel copy. So we also know that there is a limitation on copy of channels between from one channel to another within a tenant, or from a public channel to a private channel. So we've been monitoring the Microsoft forum, and we know that there is a lot of requests on this. So if as an IT service provider, right, what you can do is actually couple this into your professional services. And if you use the Teams assessment report, you will know that your customer will require, you can actually advise your customer on what they can do. Yeah. So this is a form of a couple of use cases that I can share with you, so that today, you know, right after the webinar, you can actually go back and think through what are the new services that you can offer with by using Voleer. Yeah. Okay. So the thing about management is definitely, you know, moving away from transactional sales and increasing the customer stickiness. Yeah. So by providing, you know, services, you know, in every organization, if you have a recurring revenue, that actually brings out the valuation of a company. And I'm sure that you guys have resonated with me. And especially during this pandemic, right? Recurring revenue services are the top priority, you know, especially services, managed services. A lot of end customers are going for managed services. Yeah. And the thing is, you know, within the APAC region, we are still pretty, there are certain countries that managed services are still pretty green in that manner. So if you are in countries that managed services is something that you want to start, and is very, it's something that you want to start to develop, but you don't have help, please come to us. We don't only provide you with the platform, we also provide, you know, marketing services that can help you to reach out to new customers. We also provide, you know, kind of like a business consultancy that we can work with you to create your services, and even, you know, share information on how you should be pricing your services. Okay. So the thing here is, you know, these are all the different revenue keys. I'm sure you're looking at the screen right now. So other than that, Teams, if let's say today you're managing the entire Office 365 environment, we also have automation that wraps around Office 365. So what you need to do now is, if you're keen on Voleer, go to voleer.com today, create an account so that you can start using the automation for free. Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to, so for next, I'm going to introduce my colleague, Nicholas, to share with you on what is in it for you. Yeah, from BitTitan.
Okay, thank you, Angela. Glad you were able to share so much about Voleer and the three-step process with everybody. So I want to let everybody know that, as Angela just said, you know, not only are we providing the tools and the solution to help you do more for your customers, but we also have marketing assets available to you. So this is our Teams campaign in a box. You can see what's included there. These are all assets that you can utilize if you're going to start leveraging these reports to create a new offering to your customers. There's data sheets, emails, a pitch deck. We're making it very easy for you to customize it, brand to your own branding, add all of your information, and be able to start marketing your new reports and assessments, or your new offerings and services to your customers. So during the Q&A session, my contact information, my email will be up on the screen. Please do reach out to me if you'd like to receive this campaign in a box and get started with these assets for your customers. So next, I'm going to share the couple of BitTitan promotions that we have going on right now. The first one is called the Teams Takeover. So this is for the Teams migration, which you just heard about. It's a great deal. Right now, every team migration is $40 instead of the usual $75. That's for each team. And for Voleer, we are offering the first 10 customers to create a free account and launch your first 3 automations, get a $50 gift voucher. So if you go to, as Angela said, if you go to Voleer.com, you can create an account right away, start using these automations. You can run any of the reports, any of the automations for your environment, and start using it for your customer's environment. And once you run the first 3, we will send you a $50 gift voucher. And of course, if you have any questions about this, please feel free to reach out to any of us. So next, we'll go to the question and answer session. If I can invite the panelists to come back on and turn on your cameras again. Welcome back. Thanks for joining us. So I have, let's see, the first question here. I think this is a good one for you, Brad. We have someone asking, they say it's their first Teams migration, and they're wondering what kind of support they'll get from BitTitan. Oh, I think you're on mute still.
Apologies for that. Yeah, support. Yeah, good question. We do have in-country support, depending on which country you're in as well. But we have APAC support. We have 24/7 email support. We also have premium support available for purchase. If you'd like to have, some callbacks within an hour or 2-hour SLA. But generally, the support comes with the license purchase anyway. We have a customer service and support team based in Singapore, which is great. Level 1, level 2. So yes, if there's anything that you do require, especially even on weekends where a lot of our clients sort of do their migrations anyway, we're there to help you and support you over those migration periods as well on the weekends. So, yeah.
Okay, great. Thanks for sharing, Brad.
No problem.
Now, this question, Angelo, there's a customer who is asking how many customers can they run automations for with their Voleer account?
Oh, how many customers, as in how many end customers for one Voleer account, is it? Can
Correct.
I reconfirm?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So so Voleer works in a way whereby we have something called workspaces, whereby you can create for your different end customers. And as of now, the number of workspaces is unlimited. Yeah, but the thing is that for our licensing is actually the thing is that we don't track you based on the number of end customers you have, but we only track the number of automation runs. Yeah, so our basic license starts with 500 licensing, 500 automation runs. So it's
Okay,
unlimited
great.
end customer. Yeah.
That's good news for all of the MSPs out there. So next, Stella, why don't you take this one? We have a customer asking what the licensing model is for the Teams migration.
Okay, so instead of looking at per user, if you're a MigrationWiz customer, you might be used to per user. But Teams is not designed in a way of a user-based licensing. So we are going towards a Teams-based licensing, which you can definitely run assessment via Voleer to understand how many teams you have in the case whereby you're not very sure. But in short, this is a Teams-based licensing up to 100 gigs per team.
Okay, great. And then another question, Stella, do you want to take this one again? They are asking if conversations are able to be migrated, and they need all Teams conversations in Outlook, Office 365, the same as Skype.
So for Teams conversations itself, it's a yes. If we are talking about mail group conversations, that is also a yes. But if it's a Skype conversation, usually there might be in email, so we can definitely have a chat separately on that. But if this is a question regarding Skype to Teams migration, the answer is no. But we should be able to kind of help address, let's say, on a specific scenario that you had conversations, they might be stored somewhere. We can try to see if BitTitan solution is able to help you with that.
Okay, great. And one more questions on licensing, Darren or Stella, either one of you, if you want to take this. They're asking if there are 10 Teams users for a single end customer tenant, but they only want to migrate a single user. What kind of, I guess, is that possible? And then how many licenses would they need?
Right, so probably I can take that one up. So like Stella mentioned that our Teams license is based on per Teams. So even though it's they want to migrate only one users, but in terms of the documents will still be migrated over, just the pending permission will not be, except for the particular user itself. So to answer your question more specific, it will be based on the number of teams that that they wish to migrate to the destination.
Great, thanks, Darren.
Yeah.
Now, Angela, here's another question on Voleer. This customer would like to run the Teams adoption report for their customer, and they're wondering what level of admin access is needed to run it. Oh, you're on mute. Angela, you're on mute.
I'm going to pass this question to my colleague Lawrence. So Lawrence, can you take this question?
Yeah, sure. So to run the Teams assessment, you will need to have a global admin role, but just be mindful that when you are using global admin role, you will be granting read-only permissions to the Voleer application. So you don't have to be worried about the Voleer application having any access to write or do anything destructive on your tenant.
Okay, great. Thanks for that, Lawrence. Lawrence is the star leader of the automation team building all these tools to help you guys do more with Teams and the other solutions that we have automations for. So, Darren, one more question for you. Someone is asking if they can do a pre-stage migration with the Microsoft Teams migration.
Yeah, definitely. So for pre-stage migration in Microsoft Teams migration is we will create the teams and channel structure at the destination. And essentially that is to build up the structure on the destination side before they move the documents, permissions, and the other content on the final pass. So yes, they can do the pre-stage migration.
Okay, great. Thank you very much, everybody. Looks like that's all the questions we have for today. For the audience, please do reach out to anybody here on screen. If you have any further questions, I'll be very happy to help you. So thank you, everybody.